I'm Mr. James from Charm City Karate. I'm here today to talk to you guys about accuracy and why accuracy is important in the martial arts. The first thing is that if you can't hit your opponent, you can't hurt him. It doesn't matter how much power you have or what great hui cho hua strike you have. If you can't hit that bad guy, you're not going to be able to hurt him. The second thing is, if you miss with that awesome strike that you have, you might even hurt yourself. I've seen guys swing punches and the other guy ducks and they end up punching a wall or something and you wreck your hand. That's not a good thing for you. You hurt your hand in a fight, odds are you're going to lose that fight. You don't want that. I'm sure you guys have all seen that even in MMA matches where the guy's on the ground, dude's throwing the big bomb into him, guy moves his head, punches the mat. The rest of the fight he's doing the thing where he's shaking his hand, he's not throwing good bombs anymore. You don't want to miss your target and hurt your hand, take yourself out of the fight. It can happen with your foot, it can happen with any of the weapons you have on your body. Okay, next thing is, if you have good accuracy, it takes you less effort to get more effect. If you can hit a small target like your opponent's eyeball, you can take one finger, you can poke him with almost no effort, and you can kind of put him out of the fight. Okay? If you've ever been poked even by accident in the eye, you know the little light jab gets you doing the, oh my God, oh. And you're pretty much combat ineffective. A really hard jab or even a medium poke can really offset you a lot. I remember a bunch of years ago I was working out with this guy named Regis, and we were just trying to get ready for this demo, and totally by accident he slammed me in the eye pretty hard. I was rocked. I think it took me about 5 minutes to recover, and I don't mean 5 minutes like, you know, you're talking to your buddies, you're like, man, it was 5 minutes. I mean by the clock 5 minutes. Holding my eye, walking around, totally ineffective. You know, if he wanted to like go get a chair, come back, walk around me a little, set up a nice shot and clock me, he could have. It took him almost no effort to put me out with that because it was an accurate shot. All right, not in that case, but you see what I'm saying. So minimal amount of effort created a lot of effect on his part. If you can get good accuracy with your strikes, you can have a little tiny bit of effort give you a whole big lot of effect. Which is why when we're practicing in class, I really keep coming back to and hammering on where are you hitting with my students. Where are you hitting with that strike? Oh, I don't know. It's not about, I don't know. You got to know what you're hitting. If you punch somebody as hard as you can and you hit them in the pec, it's not going to do anything. If you punch somebody as hard as you can and you catch him in the solar plexus, you're going to knock the wind out of him. You might cause a reflex action and make him throw up. If you hit somebody as hard as you can and you get him in the abdominal muscles, you might not get much of a reaction. If you hit somebody as hard as you can and you catch him in the liver, you're going to drop him on the ground, he's not going to be able to catch his breath, he's going to be laying there. So you really want to be very accurate in your targeting. You want to know what you're hitting when you hit it. Okay? If you throw one of those cool karate chops that everybody wants to throw, and you hit a guy in the shoulder, it's not going to do a lot. But if you come up and over a couple of inches and you catch him in the collarbone, you've got a chance of breaking that collarbone. If you break the collarbone, that arm becomes inactive. It's going to hang. He's not going to be able to pick it up and hit you with it. Now you've got a serious effect. You come up the neck a little bit, you catch that vagus nerve, you're going to drop his blood pressure, he's going to pass out. Now you got another good effect. So you can really amplify your effect just by having a good target. Another reason that you really want to have good targeting is that it's more professional. Okay? It's better for you to be a surgeon than a butcher. Okay? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with butchers. I love a good cut of meat. But who gets paid better? A surgeon does. When you're fighting somebody, you would rather pinpoint and pick and choose what you're going to hit hit him once or twice, real clean, and get out, rather than be hacking at him and just wailing and wailing and wailing. You want 1, 2, 3 clean shots and you're gone. Okay? You'd rather be Anderson Silva than Keith Hackney. Think about it. All right. The other reason that you really want to have good accuracy is it's one of the things that's really going to allow a smaller opponent, maybe even a weaker opponent, to defeat a much larger opponent. All right? If you weigh 110 pounds and you're fighting somebody that weighs 200 pounds, and the two of you stand toe-to-toe and you just blast each other in the chest, you're going to lose. But if your opponent has to hit you square in the chest and you get to kick him in the groin, you got a chance. Or you get to poke him in the eye. Or you get to blast him in the kneecap. You got a chance. So accuracy is going to play a big difference. Okay. The other thing is, you know, in Kempo, we make big use of something called involuntary body response. So when you poke somebody in the eye, their hands are going to come up, their head's going to go back, their body's going to turn away. They're not going to think, oh, I've got to do this. But that's what happens when you get poked in the eye. When you get kicked in the groin, your hands go to your groin, your knees buckle, you drop down. That's what happens. We work on that to set up our next shot. So if your shots aren't accurate, you're not going to have that body response to work from for your next strike. If what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to poke the guy in the eyes so that his hands come up and his body arches, opening up the stomach cavity for say a downward thrust punch, but you, I don't know, poke him in the nose, you're not going to open up that abdominal cavity for that punch. Now the next move in your technique isn't there. So you got to have that accuracy so that you always have that good follow-up strike for yourself. All right, so let's move on to a drill that is going to help you improve your accuracy. So these pieces of paper are here so that I can teach you guys one of my favorite accuracy drills. I don't have a cool name for it. You could call it hanging chads. What you do is you get some paper and some string. I've used fishing wire because that's what I had. And I used post-it notes and some duct tape. Okay? But you can use anything. If you're married, set this up somewhere where your wife won't run into it because she's not going to understand. It works best if you set it up somewhere in your house or your apartment that you're going to travel through a lot. Like somewhere to and from the bathroom or to and from the kitchen. Somewhere that you're going to travel through frequently so that you get a lot of forced reps. Okay? And what you're going to do is you make them different sizes. See, I got like circles and triangles. I set them up at different heights. You don't want to just stand in the middle, okay, which I'm probably going to end up doing to demonstrate it just because it's kind of a fixed location. But you're going to do it as you pass through. You're going to practice hitting the different size pieces of paper. It doesn't matter what kind of a strike you use. You can start with something big and easy like a back knuckle when you start. And then as you go, you can make them smaller and smaller strikes like maybe a 2-finger poke or a whip or something like that. Eventually you want to be able to hit little tiny things like this. It's probably about the size of a quarter or maybe an eyeball. And you want to be able to hit this with a 2-finger poke, hopefully on the move, so that if you were walking through somewhere and a guy approached you, without breaking your stride, you'd be able to reach out, poke him in the eye, hit him at a pressure point for those guys and girls out there that like to do pressure points, whatever. Because really, you're not going to be able to sit on the couch and pretend like you'd be able to hit small targets just because you want to be able to hit small targets. Accuracy can only be developed by practicing accuracy. Speed can only be developed by practicing speed. Just like you can't sit on your couch and be like, I could bench press 200 pounds. You got to go to the gym and work out to get strong. You got to practice accuracy to get accurate. All right? So, you know, the idea is as you're moving through this field, you just pick random targets and you try to hit them as you go through and set them moving. Okay? It's pretty easy. It's kind of fun. It gives you different things to hit. as you go through. You walk through, you try to hit them. Okay? If it gets too easy, make them small. Small, small, small. Set them up different. If you get tired of doing the same targets, you can adjust the height. You can tape them up so that they're at different angles, different heights. Like I said, you don't want to leave these somewhere if you're married, because your wife will pop into them and she'll start going, "What are you doing that crazy karate stuff for?" She'll get really mad at you. You can also invert them if you wanted to. You could take a piece like this and cut a hole in the middle and try to practice sticking your finger through just the hole. That's really tricky. But it's a very good drill for you. Try to practice walking through and just hitting different pieces as you go through. Do it without breaking your stride. Then you try to hit ones that are still moving. Much harder once they're moving. But you should be able to do it with a little bit of practice. Okay? It's not about power. You're not looking to rock this thing with a big hard strike. What you're looking to do is not miss. You start doing this kind of stuff, that's not a good thing. You want to be able to hit the paper where it is. If you think they're too big, cut them down, make them smaller. If this is too small for you when you start, that's okay. Give yourself a big 8.5 by 11 sheet so that you can get it. Pow! Then after you've been doing it for a little while, and you can do it all the time, cut it down a little bit, make it smaller. Cut it down, make it smaller. Eventually you should be able to hit something about the size of somebody's eye pretty much every time. If you can't hit it every time, keep practicing. Okay? It's all about being accurate. If you're not accurate, it doesn't matter how strong you are. Okay? Now, if you're really strong and you can break like 6 bricks with one shot and you're really accurate, then you're probably the second coming of Ed Parker. Good for you. All right? So keep practicing. Like I said, this is a good drill. It's fun. You can set it up in a hallway or something where you can just walk through, pop them as you go. Try it out. Let me know what you think. Alright, so to recap, accuracy is important because if you can't hit it, you can't hurt it. If you miss, you might even get hurt. Breaking a weapon, sure way to lose a fight. Accuracy also allows you to use less effort to get the same effect or to get a greater effect with the same amount of effort. It's more professional, and accuracy will allow you, a smaller opponent, to defeat a bigger opponent. I'm Mr. James from Charm City Karate. If you liked the video, rate it up, and we'll see you next time.